am so excited right now. I got 4 new tomato baby plants, and it was just a coincidence, I guess you could say. I am on like a Facebook gardening group for Zone 9, and that spans, many, many states. But I happened to open my Facebook the other day, and the first thing in my news feed was a gentleman who happened to be in my town, and he was selling tomato plants, which I already have really too many of, but these were some of the varieties that I've heard of, but I think you have to like special order them from certain seed stores. And so I said I wasn't going to do that this year. I was just going to do easily accessible ones. But seeing how he was selling these, and I did kind of want to try some of them out. I sent him a text message, and he happened to live right up the road from me. And so I went to go pick him up yesterday, and he did give me a deal. Since I got 4 plants, I was able to get 4 for $12. He was selling them individually a little bit more than that. But these ones are Bella Rosas in the red cups, and then these ones are Sun Sugar cherry tomatoes. And I'm very excited because I've heard really good things about both of these. These ones are supposed to stand up to our Florida humidity and heat and keep producing. And a lot of the tomato types will stop producing in like July and stuff because it's just too hot. So I'm excited to try these out. But the guy was super, super cool. He was an older gentleman, and he's been doing this for many, many years. And he was kind enough to like give me a garden tour of his garden, and he lives in a subdivision, and his entire backyard is completely gutted, and it's nothing but a garden back there. He doesn't do raised beds or anything. He does everything in ground. So he was kind enough to give me a garden tour back there and show me all of his plants. He still had some cool weather crops that he is working on removing, and he's getting new plants in. I know he planted some tomatoes, and he has some peppers in. He's got some okra in. What else did he have? I can't remember. He did mostly tomatoes, and he's got more peppers that he that are seedlings that are just sprouting and everything right now. So he said he'll be selling those in a couple weeks, whatever he has left over after he plants his garden. So I'm going to give him a call again and see if he has anything. Most of them are spicy peppers, and even though I'm from South Louisiana originally, I actually don't like spicy food. Lucky, get out of my garden. Come on. Come sit with me. You can come and be on the YouTube channel. Anyway, so he was kind enough to give me a tour of his garden, and he was kind enough to show me how he does his like seed germination, and how he just like gave me a whole walkthrough. I had so many questions, and he stood there. I mean, I might have been there for like an hour or more, and he sat there and answered all my questions, and he was so, so kind. And so he's been doing this for many, many years. And that fertilizer routine that I'm starting this year, he actually does the same thing. So it is a tried and true method. The only difference that he suggested is that when you're using the water soluble fertilizer, when they first germinate, when they first get their true leaves, their first set of true leaves, he said he goes ahead and starts his high in nitrogen NPK fertilizer at that point, but he said he dilutes it to like a quarter strength. So say if it's 1 tablespoon per gallon, he'll do like a quarter tablespoon per gallon, and then his next feeding in a couple of weeks he'll bump it up to half, and then so on and so forth until he gets a full strength feeding. So he doesn't wait till they're like transplant size or anything like that. These are past transplant size. But so he told me that, and then I was telling him about the issues I've been having with the grow lights, because at first I had a grow light that wasn't very strong, and I said before, and my video that I posted before that it wasn't hanging down. It has a clip on it, so you have to hang it from something, and the unit that I was hanging it from, I couldn't get it close enough to the little pellet things that I was using, the pods, so that my plants were getting leggy and stringy and everything. And then also I was having an issue where even with the better grow light that my husband got me, the plants are doing better, but some of them are still stalling out after like 2 weeks or something like that. They'll just sit there. And I thought it was the way I was watering. I thought it was too much water, and then I thought maybe I had put a fan on them, and then they started drying out, and then I felt like they were getting like too little water, and I was just having a lot of issues. And he was telling me that, so I have them on a heat mat too, and so he was telling me that as soon as they germinate, that you should take them off of the heat. And I didn't know that. I didn't know to look for it or to research it. I've done a lot of research on like starting season. That's just something that hasn't caught my eye. So that is one thing that I have to change. I guess if the soil that they're germinating in stays too hot, then it's like the plant wants to get away from it, and so that will also make them kind of weak and leggy, aside from the grow light. But he doesn't actually use the grow lights. He does his under heat mat until they germinate, and then he just built himself a greenhouse outside, and as soon as they germinate, he puts them outside in the greenhouse and then lets them go from there. So I think that I'm making it a little too complicated trying to do all this stuff indoors and blah 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 when I have a greenhouse accessible to me. So I'm going to try his method because it's obviously working very well for him. These stems are so thick, they're about as thick as my finger, and they are way better quality than the stuff that I got at Walmart. So I'm very excited to get these in the garden. I'm not gonna get them in today. I had so much going on today that now it's the evening time and it's getting late. So I'm gonna save this for when I get off of work tomorrow. So I'm gonna get these in the ground tomorrow or the day after probably. But yeah, if you're having issues and you're doing grow lights and heat mats and blah 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 blah, as soon as they germinate, you should take them off the heat mat. And then he also told me like those little pellet pod things, the peat moss pods, he was like, just nix those. And he was like, just use the seed starter mix that has like no nutrients. It's just straight like peat moss, vermiculite, and perlite is what his mixture is. And he was like, you don't need any nutrients, nothing. You don't want any mold or anything growing in there. So he was like, make it as basic, no nutrients, nothing as possible while they're germinating. And then when they're ready to up pot, you can put them in something else. But so I learned a lot, and I just wanted to share it because, you know, I'm a newbie, and the only seeds that I have started in the years past, I always did seeds. I didn't do any grow lights or anything like that. I literally put them in my crappy topsoil manure compost mixture that was horrible, put them outside and let them germinate. And they all I mean, I didn't have a problem with germination. Just growing them straight from the beds, from the garden bed, out in the sun or anything like that. I never had a problem with that. I always had a problem with when as they got older and their roots got more as their roots just started growing and stuff like that. I had just such crappy soil. They didn't have enough nutrients or the right nutrients. I was giving them wrong nutrients and so good foundation, simple seed starter mix. I actually went and got the Jiffy brand for like $5 or $6 at Walmart. It had all the same stuff that he said on the label. And so I went and did that, poured some water in it. So I got the Jiffy brand for $5 or $6 at Walmart. You get a pretty decent sized bag. And I just went and got those plastic disposable cups from the dollar store for $1.25 for a whole bunch of them. I think they're like 3 ounces. And I don't even use plant labels or anything now. I just started writing the, writing what it was and the date that I planted it, or that I put the seed in there. just to make it streamlined and easy. He also told me to make sure that, like, say if you're like, so he doesn't do all of his in cups like this. He does a lot of them in like a full, like a tray, a seed starting tray. So he was make sure that you are planting things that have the same germination rate and that require the same temperature. So like tomatoes are gonna sprout at the same time in general, but peppers are not gonna sprout germinate at the same time as tomatoes, and so on and so forth. Like he said, his okra was the fastest thing that was sprouting. So he was like, don't plant all of those in the same tray because they're some of them are gonna have to come off the heat mat and go into the greenhouse sooner. So plant things that match with each other, that coincide with germination and the right heat, the temperature for the soil, and so on and so forth. Plant those together. And that is something that I also, you know, I was planting everything, like all of my flowers, all of my peppers, my tomatoes, blah, 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 all at the same time, not realizing that different things are going to need different temperatures or different germination rates, and so on and so forth. So that is something that I'm going to try to reel myself in on. But I learned so much. So the whole point of this video is that I want to show off my beautiful plants because they are so cute, but also I wanted to, I done lost my thought, but also, so I wanted to show off my new plants, but also I wanted to just encourage you guys that if you see someone who's in your area, they're going to have the most knowledge, especially if they're an experienced gardener. Like this guy was an old timer. He's been doing this for years. He knows what he's doing. He has tried and true methods that are literally within a mile of me that should work for me too. And he was so nice. Like I had so many questions and he never was like, here, take your plants and get out. He was so nice. And he sat there in the rain and showed me his garden and showed me what to do and gave me so many encouraging words and told me different things that I could tweak about my garden to get it, you know, better success, and then encouraged me on the things that that he thought were going well for me. And so don't be afraid to reach out to people that are local to you and ask questions. Also, another thing that he told me that I never would have even thought of even looking into is that he gets free compost, and he gets it from the local zoo for free. Like all of their giraffes and elephants and whatever else that eats only vegetables, they compost that manure down and then test it for like pests and disease and continue to compost it and then test it again before they put it out. And they just take it out to the parking lot and they have somebody out there with like a front end loader. And all you do is you back your pickup truck up there. They dump it into the back of your truck. You don't even have to get out and talk to them. You just back up. They dump it into your truck and you haul off and you are good to go. And it's free, completely free. They do it every 3 months at the zoo here. I would have never thought to look into that. So definitely look at your local resources, especially the experienced local gardeners, because more than likely they're going to be more than happy and even excited to discuss and troubleshoot with you and give you all the great, amazing advice and the tidbits that only someone local to you are going to know, like the zoo thing. So that's just your food for thought. And yeah, get out there and ask questions.